Hi, Jason Perico for Bianchi Honda, suggesting you start your new year with a new Honda. Start by leasing the 2016 CR-V LX all-wheel drive for $299 a month with zero down. That's right, the no money down lease is back. Only $299 a month for the 2016 CR-V LX all-wheel drive. With over 500 Hondas in stock, I promise to find the right Honda for you.
Back here on the Sports Blitz, 461-1330. We will reopen the phone lines later on, but right now, happy to be joined by Gannon football coach Brad Rzyczycki to talk about his incoming recruiting class. Coach, how have you been?
Good, Jack. How are you?
I'm well. It's good to see you. I don't think I've seen you in a while, so let's get right to it here. An exciting class. The first thing that stands out to me, 3 quarterbacks. I know you've lost your one of the best quarterbacks in program history, Liam Nodler. Zach Phillips was his backup. So you bring in 3 quarterbacks. Is that something that you were looking to do when you started building this class?
Well, I think overall with our entire program, I was trying to influx competition with everybody, and that's one position we know we want competition at. You look at the kid we took, Tyler Palka. He's a transfer from Saginaw Valley State. I don't know that he fit their offense. He split time. He's more what we do, zone read. The kid's got a good head on his shoulders and can throw it still. He's built much like Zach is. So it gives Zach some competition and let those two go at it, during spring ball. The other two more than likely will be redshirted. It just takes time to grow and get used to the college game, especially at that position. But it's someplace that we wanted to have depth because, during the course of the season, we lost Liam and Zach went in there and either ran out of breath or got hurt during the course of the game. And we sent Mike McCulley into the game, who we were using as kickoff and punting for us. Right. But not that Mike couldn't get it done. We just want to have more depth there and have more competition. But the influx in every position is to get good competition. Coach Hoig loved those 2 quarterbacks that we've seen, the 2 freshmen. So we were lucky and fortunate enough to get them, and they're going to compete as time goes on too.
And then Jason Dambach put up huge numbers in his career at Riverside, Pennsylvania, and then the other one is from St. Ed's, well known around here, Jimmy Keefe, who won the state or had a huge game in the state championship game. So what do you get out of those guys?
Yeah, you look at it. Dambach put up all those numbers and broke a ton of records down there. And your kid has tools. You see it on film. He's able to see defenses and put the ball in the right spots, and he can run. You look at his first highlight that's actually on our clips. He gets out of the pocket, which is something I want, and still keeps his eyes and his head downfield, something that Zach Phillips actually does well. So, yeah, he fits the mold for what we do on offense. And then you look at Jimmy Keefe. I mean, here's a kid that started for 1 year at St. Ed's who probably not arguably, they probably played the toughest high school schedule in the country, the teams that they've played and traveled, and the kid's an absolute winner. He's 6'1", he listed as 6'2", and he still can throw the ball really well, but he wins football games. So it'll be interesting to see those two battle it out as time goes on and find out which one's ready and let those guys compete. Not that they wouldn't have a chance to go win the starting job next year because it's all about competition. But those are 2 really good ones. 2 of them that Coach Hoig put his eyes on and said, I can't make my mind which one I like better between these 2, and we were fortunate to get both of them.
I'll stick with the offense here. Isaiah, you talk about big numbers. Isaiah Young, the running back from Worthington, had 1,500-plus yards and a whole bunch of touchdowns. So what are you looking for out of him?
Well, Isaiah was a kid we really wanted. We talked and sat down with Coach Hoig after the season was over. Brock Jones was a one typical type runner where he can run inside and really run through people. We want to stretch the ball a little bit more to the outside. I don't know that was Brock's forte, but we need an outside run game. Isaiah, to be completely honest with you, after watching high school film, was the only kid that I liked. And it was kind of either we get Isaiah or we're not going to take one this year. And we were fortunate. He had a great visit when he came up here. But he watched his film. He's so fast laterally, and he sees one cut and makes it in his outside zone plays down at Worthington Kilbourne right now. So we're really happy to get him. I know he was sought after by a lot of people. So we're excited about that one. He's already 5'10", 195 pounds. So putting mass on him is not going to be an issue. And he may be a play-ready guy now. So yeah, we're happy about that one.
I like that. Not weight, mass. I like that. That's
good.
I'm going to use that line. I know it's mass. Tight end position, Jordan Smith. He's interesting from Cannon McMillan. Started his career there as a quarterback, but had a huge year last season. So given that he wasn't a tight end all 4 years, do you feel that you've maybe just scratched the surface with him?
Well, if you look at, he's all of 6'4". He's playing more wide receiver type stuff for them, and it's exactly what we want with our offense, a kid that can eventually put his hand down. But we want to take the kid that is skilled enough right now to stand up and give people mismatches from his height standpoint. He goes up and gets the ball. He's got great hands. And then eventually, as we put the mass and or weight on him, he can put his hand down and effectively block people. So he's got a skill set that we really look for in our offense where we don't have to change personnel groupings by getting in, a 10 personnel or a 21 personnel. He gives us a lot of flexibility. And here's a smart kid, too. His grades are outstanding, so he can get it done in the classroom, too. So we were very happy to get that one. We're going to have a lot of fun with him as time goes on, putting weight on him and lining him up at so many different positions on our offense.
And then you bring in 2 offensive linemen, Kylie Smith from Virginia, and I'm going to get to, you're going all over the place with some of these kids. Offensive lineman, 6'4", 270, and Mac Chambers, offensive lineman from Washington, Pennsylvania, 6'3", 285.
Yeah, one thing we tried to address in this offseason, especially with recruiting, and we're not done with this part of it, is we had to get a little bit heavier up front. I think soaking wet, we were about 265 pounds across the board with our offensive line last year. And from an endurance standpoint, those kids would just get moved. So we've got to make sure we're pumping calories into the kids we got now, and we're a little bit heavier when we get on the field. But we also had to recruit a little bit of heavier kid. And if you look at those 2 kids on film, Kylie and Mac, they're big physical kids that, I don't know how fast it normally takes those guys a little bit longer to get on the field, but Brady Bowling started as a freshman for us last year. But size-wise, they fit the mold. We're hoping to get those guys at 285 and have a little bit more oomph up front to be able to move people off the ball. Because we got to get back to running it. And I think our issues last year of running the football is we just couldn't move people off the line of scrimmage. And those 2 are definitely 2 kids that fit into our program that will be able to do that. How fast, we'll see, but hopefully sooner than later.
All right, now going to the defensive side of the ball, let's see here. Cal Reynolds, who had a huge year as far as sacks. He's a defensive end, another St. Ed's product. So what does he bring to the table?
He's got a motor. He's kind of built like Trent Donald was. The kid doesn't stop with energy on the field. And St. Ed's lined him up at a lot of different places. And obviously, you're not going to have to coach him a ton. He came from a really good program that, same as Jimmy Keefe at St. Ed's, those kids know what they're doing out there. I loved his energy on his visit. You watch him on film, he's constantly getting after the quarterback. They line him up at a variety of different places. For us, he's more of a 5 technique and outside edge rusher right now. He's 235 pounds. But that motor, those are some things, intangibles you can't coach. So, yeah, we're really happy with him, and it gives us a lot of depth at our 3-man front stuff right now because I think he can play either side, our anchor or end, depending on how time goes and how much weight he puts on too. But right now he's a 5 technique that, can get after the quarterback, which is something we need to.
So listed as 6'2", 235, do you envision him going up and maybe being able to use him in the middle and at the end, or going down and keeping him as an edge rusher?
I think he's going to continue to be an edge rusher. And, depending on what his body will take, if we can get him up to 250, 255, he's still an outside rusher for us. That we face a variety of offensive teams. There's going to be teams like Mercyhurst and IUP that put heavy personnel on the field that if we can put a 260 end out there that can hold up versus double teams and those type of things, we're going to need him. So we're going to put mass on him. But, his energy and everything else, I don't envision we'll ever put him down to nose guard. I don't think he's ever going to get that big. But the 2-5 technique positions, one of them is a strong side end for us that will have to deal with the tight end. The other is the open side without a tight end. Right now he's the open side where Matt Golick's playing right now. So he's going to be a good one, man. He brings those intangibles, that energy to the field.
One linebacker, Clay McDonald from West Virginia, he had 85 tackles last year. So you talk about a high motor, he seems to be it too.
Yeah, Clay's a good-looking kid. He's 6'3". He looks 6'4" when you meet him in person. He's an athletic kid. He's a farmer, too. I love taking these farmers because they understand work ethic and what it takes.
There you go.
Yeah, exactly. But, yeah, he's got all the tools. It's a matter of how fast you figure it out at linebacker as soon as you hit the collegiate level and putting mass on him. He's a great kid, another intelligent academic person. But, yeah, we're excited. He's got some intangibles, the 6'3", the 6'4", the 220 right now. Obviously, you don't coach that. So at linebacker, at times we were short last year. We'd like to get someone a little bit taller. We could still bend their knees and they could still see and keep vision on the ball. I think that was a little bit of an issue last year for us. But, no, Clay's going to be a really good one.
Looking now at the back, cornerback Jameis Coles for another West Virginian. The one thing I noticed, he had 3 picks. 25 punt returns. He averaged 25 yards per return. So do you think that you could be able to use him in the special teams as well?
Yeah, Jamez, he goes by Loopy. He is, Jack,
Loopy, I like that.
He's one of the most talented kids we've recruited. he's as good as they come. And he is 6'1", 195-pound corner right now that, we're really excited because it's hard to find those guys out there that, he's got a shot to get here and contribute right away, and depending on how Loopy gets up here and, fits in, understands scheme and all those things. But from a physical standpoint, from a tool standpoint, he's one of the more talented kids we've ever recruited, and we're fortunate enough to get him up here. He fell in love with our criminal justice program. They do a great job with those guys over there. But he's as talented as they come. Obviously, he's going to return punts. I mean, he's going to help in that area. I'm more in the vein of trying to find someone to catch it. We had a luxury with Justin Calise, the fact that he could catch it and run away from people. But Loopy's fit the same way. I mean, Loopy will catch it and then run away from you, and he ends up being another threat. So there's a variety of different things we can do with him on special teams. But to find that boundary lockdown and or field corner that's 6'1", 195, they don't come around that much. Right. And we're fortunate to get Loopy and to get him up here and get him working.
Two safeties you bring in: Earl Anderson from Richmond, Virginia, Jeremiah Brennan from New York State.
Yeah, Earl is, if you watch Earl, he's extremely active. Earl, along with Coles, Keefe, McDonald, and Reynolds, they all won state championships. And Earl's another one that their high school down there, Highland Springs, won the first state championship in Virginia. And he was a key contributor to be able to do that. He's built, I think, eventually like a Mike Zanders. And I say that in the realm of the fact that he's good enough to get himself close to the line of scrimmage and make plays close to the box, but still talented enough to play off the hash and play up a deep half. They're different. Earl's skinny right now. He's got to put some mass on, which I think he will. But he has tenacity and the willingness to stick his nose in there and tackle, which is, again, I don't know that you can ever coach that. You teach the right ways to tackle, but to stick your nose and to physically actually do it. And that's one thing that we saw on film with Earl is he'll tackle, and plays don't get beyond 7 yards even when he's playing free safety. So, yeah, we're excited about that. And then you throw in the Jeremiah Brennan. I mean, here's a kid you watch on film. He's playing closer to the line of scrimmage at William Floyd High School. He's quick twitch. His first step is so fast. And we don't know eventually where he's going to end up. He's going to start as a down safety for us. He may grow into an outside linebacker, depending on how fast his body grows into 205, 215 pounds. But he has some things in his quick twitch, his fast movement, his ability to read. You see it on film, and his ability to tackle, that eventually he's going to fit somewhere. He'll start in an outside safety for us, an overhang for what Coach Thompson calls it, and has the ability to move to an outside linebacker depending on how fast he progresses in our strength conditioning program.
You told me off the air now that you will continue to sign players. What positions do you think you'll be focusing on?
Yeah, I think we're going to take, we held a little bit back because we were a little bit long in the tooth last year. I think we need some more immediate impact players to maybe go throw more competition through there. We're going to get through spring ball that starts on February 15th for us, and we go, have a month to be able to get through spring ball. So it gives us a little bit of extra time to continue to recruit and look for kids. But I expect, Jack, for us to bring in, potentially 10 more kids to this class to be able to go out and compete with the ones that we have. We've moved some kids around, so we've got to find out through spring ball, does it fit there? Do we need help in this certain position? So we got a little bit of time with this thing, but we're talented enough right now after putting the two deeps on the board in my office today with the offense and defensive coordinator to go out there, not overly experienced, but talented enough to go out and compete with anybody. So everything else from here on out is going to be a luxury for us, and we're just going to hold on to it. If we're a little bit young, we need some experience, some kids that maybe have played some collegiate ball already.
Looking at this group as well now, you mentioned Coles, the cornerback, as a potential immediate impact guy. Is there anyone else that stands out to you that you think we could see on the field this coming season?
Well, I think because of the weight of those two offensive linemen, the fact that they're probably going to be 285 already, depending on how fast they pick up the scheme and, if they kick off the rust of nervousness of walking into a college program, they got a shot. Isaiah Young is as talented as any running back we've ever brought into this program. They all have a shot. I told the kids earlier, I said, look, I'm not redshirting anyone. Everyone's going to have a chance those first 10 days at camp to go out and win a starting job. And we burnt 7 true freshmen last year, what I didn't expect to be able to do, but they beat out the kids that were out there. So I tell them we go out and recruit and try to find the best, and those kids are going to get an opportunity to go play. And if I didn't think that they were ready to play, we wouldn't recruit them, because that's the one thing that we're not going to do, and Coach Wolf understands this. I'll sit there and wait, and we're not going to settle on a recruit that we don't think can play and fit into our program. We're going to find ones in these 12 we think that can play. We went out and found and we signed right now, and we're going to continue to do it. But I think they all can play and contribute.
Looking forward to that. All right, now as far as the team right now, what kind of contact are you able to have with the group between now and the start of spring practice?
Yeah, we're in our off-season workout program, so we get 8 hours a week right now to spend with the kids. And I have a great strength conditioning program. Owen Rader's our strength conditioning coordinator, and Jermaine Mitchell, my defensive line coach, is the director of strength conditioning. And as a staff, we get in there with those kids, and they're regimented on caloric intake and everything you can possibly think of. And because we have to get heavier, the one thing that we want to do is build mass and we're running spring ball pretty early. So we wanted to put as much mass as we could get on to them before February 15th. And right now we're kicking around whether or not we want to stay in an off-season program during spring ball just to continue that process because they're young, their bodies are still growing. And I think collectively we have 17 seniors and juniors combined coming back on this football team. So it's just we have all that contact with them. We probably use 7.5 of those 8 hours with them and spend as much time as we possibly can, but just getting them physically ready to start spring ball. But yeah, it's about, I think, an hour and 10 minutes a day right now we're spending with them, hour and 15 minutes.
Do you do the one spring practice all the way through, or do you break it up?
We like, how do we do it? Like, certain days?
The format? Yeah.
I think the way our calendar works right now, we're Monday, Tuesday, Thursday, Friday, Saturday for 2 weeks. Then the kids are on spring break, and then we're in the same format coming back for 2 weeks, and that's our 15 practices, and we're done.
Do you do a scrimmage or anything at the end of it, or you just use it for another practice?
We got to see how many are standing at the end of it. I mean, the biggest thing for us is because of, I don't want to say there is a depth issue, you just don't want to get someone hurt in spring.
Right.
And, with the academic standards again, and academics come first, and some of my kids have class during spring practices and can't get there. And, I don't know if it's completely fair to some of them. So we try to do the best job we can of putting practice times where everybody can make it and compete for a position. So some of that, we got logistically we got to do our work with, but I don't imagine we'll have a spring game. We do all our spring practices inside, which I understand the weather up here is nice. It's not, there's no snow on the ground right now, but sometimes there is. But having that 80-yard indoor facility, we don't have to worry about going outside and shoveling off the snow or anything. It's a luxury for us to start spring practice on February 15th.
You mentioned a couple of these guys are some of the most talented players you've ever brought in. Do you think that the new facility contributes to that, your ability to recruit? I
think it does to a point. I think some of those kids see that indoor and that brand new weight room that looks inside of it. It helps. But I tell these kids when they get up there, all these places that you're going to are bricks and sticks. Make sure you like the people that are coaching. They're going to coach you for your 4 or 5 years that you're there. And I think this coaching staff that I have does a great job of identifying high-character kids. And when we bring them in there, we got to do a little bit of selling ourselves and what it's like to be a player in our program. But it's still, to me, a people's business. So you got to sell yourselves. But it definitely does help to have that indoor and that weight room. Obviously, it does.
Talking about the staff real quick, then I'll let you go. Any changes this year? Is everyone back?
No, everyone's back. We added Jack Abercrombie. He's going to help out with our offensive line. Was over in Findlay. Played actually offensive center for Cal PA a couple of years back. A good friend of mine, Mike Evans, who's the head coach at Gannon McMillan, who helped us with Jordan Smith here. Highly recommended him. So he's going to help work with our offensive line. But that's the only change to this point.
Well, Coach, looking forward to it, and once you get some more of these players in, love to have you back before the season starts.
Sounds great to me, Jack.
Also, the 5th, is that the opener, Southern Connecticut State? All right, yeah, I saw that, and two things great. First of all, I'm excited about that, and secondly, we don't have to drive to New Haven, which is going to be a lot of fun. Well, Coach, thanks for taking the time, and it was good to talk to you.
Thanks for having me, Jack.
All right, we will be right back. You're listening to The Blitz on AM 1330, The Fan.